What is the point? I think for most of my life I have been grappling with that question. I really just didn't know, and still find myself lost at times. What is the point? It's sort of a flawed question. I think we've heard a lot about nihilism and all kinds of philosophies. I'm not saying that there's no truth in them. In fact, there's a good amount of fuck validity. It's not really about at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if something's logically correct. If you feel like shit, it doesn't really matter. I couldn't tell you why I wanted to start speaking, but I mean today specifically. I was sitting on my couch. I was watching One Piece. I was sitting for like 2 hours. And I felt this deep emptiness. Right here. I used to feel it more physically when I was a teenager. I mean, I still am, but more like 12 to 16, that time period. I used to be quite mentally ill. It feels like the life that you are is absent. That's what depression felt like for me. It felt like the world had lost its color. And I was just watching this for no reason. And to some extent, that is true. My goal is not to convince or persuade or tell or prove. I would like the truth to be self-evident. And I think there are some limitations on how much one can convey with words. At the beginning of the video, I asked, what is the point? I did not mean that in a hopeless way. I was voicing a genuine question I had for a long time. There is no point, but that doesn't mean that it is worthless. Worth transcends reason. The way that I come to understand is by letting go of the mind. Within the mind, there is a certain degree of understanding and knowledge that you can attain. And it's a large wealth of knowledge. It's just the quality of it is inherently a thought form. It's inherently an object that floats in the mind. And you can only capture so much of something in the mind. You become chained to it. Instead of seeing, you just see your reaction. And you begin to mistake your reaction for what it actually is. The answer of what life is about, it's not in your head. Because life, it's not in your head. There's no point. It's everywhere. And kind of nowhere too. I don't know if I'm gonna upload this one. I feel like under my words is bitterness. And I feel like under the bitterness is loss. I wish that people would, I guess I should stop being general. I feel it is very important to express and display, not even, doesn't have to be to anybody else, just at least to yourself, to express and display how you actually are. What is it like in this moment? It's very it can be challenging. It's often not pleasant, and sometimes outright horrible. But whether you pay attention to it or not, the horror is there. You can close your eyes, but it's still there. You might not feel it directly, but it'll rot everything around you. You won't know how to sit still. You'll be irritated all the time. You won't know how to share in somebody else's happiness. You won't know how to smile. You don't have to hold on to that suffering. If you would like to understand it, you don't have to attach yourself to it. Something very interesting happens when one becomes aware of anything. The second that you choose to be present, there's space for the world to exist. When you're not present, this varies from person to person. Your attention can be drawn perhaps mostly to the mind or mostly to the body. Could be a mix of both. For a lot of people it is. You lose your ability. It's not even a loss of an ability, really. It's a loss of awareness, to be frank. You can't actually perceive what's happening. You only perceive your reactions to what is happening. And by being aware, you don't have to ask why. You know that it is. And the proof, which is so self-evident, you may not even ask the right question. The question is not, what is the point? The question we should be asking is, what is? I know I came into the video a little heavy. I wasn't feeling good. And I don't want to, I really don't, I mean, I think it's so against the point of what I would like to do, just pretending to be happy all the time. It's not because I dislike happiness. It's because if something is wrong, it does nobody any good to beat around the bush. Sorry about the long ass pauses. It's I'd rather say nothing than say nothing of value. Maybe I'll put timestamps or something so that you don't have to sit. I mean, I think there's value in sitting in silence, but I don't know if the value belongs in a YouTube video. Maybe. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. Really. My whole body feels better. I mean, I feel alive. I was feeling horrible. And I think it was because I had this attachment. I think it could be mistaken for hope. But underneath any attachment, and mine, it was pain. God, so much of this video is silence. I'm gonna see how this one turned out. I really don't know. Let's see.